First at 9.
A very good gloomy and rainy Friday evening to you. This is your primetime news bulletin coming to you live on MTV Sports and Shakti TV from our News First Center here in Colombo. I'm Shahin Jurampati.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Now, all four men who were convicted of raping and murdering a 23-year-old in New Delhi have been sentenced to death 9 months after a crime whose savagery triggered mass protests in India.
Well, that's right, Stephanie. Now, the News First International Desk will, of course, have a detailed report on this story later on in the bulletin.
But before that, let's take a look at the headlines.
The headlines on News First at 9.
Inclement weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Highest rainfall in the past 24 hours recorded in Kurunegala. Number of election-related complaints reached 400. 100 kilograms of TNT discovered after 17 years in a lorry under police custody. Death penalty for 4 convicted rapists in India.
News First at 9.
Well, the Department of Meteorology says that the rainy weather conditions prevalent in the island will persist, noting that heavy showers can be expected during the afternoon and evening hours in certain areas. Several parts of the island experience showers due to the convergence in the northeastern and northwestern winds and an atmospheric disturbance of the island. The highest rainfall was recorded from the Millaveen area in Kurunegala in the past 24 hours, ending at 8:30 this morning. The Gampaha and Katanayaga areas received a rainfall of over 100 millimeters. 14 houses in the Vattala and Karunagama areas were submerged when water levels of the Attanagolo Oya increased due to heavy showers in the Gampaha district. The Kahata Ovita area too was inundated. One came to a standstill when a tree fell onto the road in the Pathiagoda area in Divulapitia. According to the Disaster Management Center, 77 persons from 17 families in the Gampaha district have been affected by the inclement weather. The Department of Irrigation has advised those residing in the Ruanvalla, Bulat Kohopitia and Kotiakumbura areas to be vigilant of the rising water level of the Gurugoda Oya. The department's Director of Aquatic Sciences, Chitra Hettiarchi, said that the water level of the Kalani River, which had risen owing to the rains, had receded by this afternoon. Assistant Director of the Kandy District Disaster Management Center, Indiga Ranavira, said that the Kandy-Hatton Road, which was obstructed due to an earth slip in the Nipitia area, was cleared for vehicular movement. Furthermore, a section of the Sarananda Mavata, a by road leading to Gampola from Perodhinia, was inundated. The Department of Meteorology forecast that a rainfall of over 100 millimeters could be expected in certain parts of the island in the next 24 hours. The Met Department notes that showers can be accompanied by temporary localized winds of up to 60 kilometers per hour. The department requests that adequate precautions be taken to prevent lightning-related accidents. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the sea areas off the coast extending from Putlam to Porterville via Gaul. It adds that wind speeds may increase up to 60 kilometers per hour at times off the coast extending from Putlam to Trincomalee via Jaffna and Hambantota to Porterville.
Welcome back. Manisha Gunasekara, Sri Lanka's Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, says that the government of Sri Lanka has undertaken a holistic and harmonious approach to reconciliation.
Now, Gunasekara made this statement at the clustered interactive dialogue with the Special Rapporteur on Truth, Justice, Reparation and Non-Recurrence held yesterday at the 24th regular session of the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, Switzerland.
As a country that has experienced and emerged from a protracted terrorist conflict which lasted 3 decades, Sri Lanka has consistently upheld the position that the approach of each state to reconciliation be context-specific, taking into account the particularities of each state and the aspirations of its people. In this regard, the government of Sri Lanka has undertaken a harmonious and holistic approach to reconciliation, taking into consideration a range of cross-cutting issues. We are pleased that the High Commissioner was able to witness firsthand this multifaceted nature of Sri Lanka's reconciliation process during her recent visit and uphold the progress already achieved. We look forward to the visit of the Special Rapporteur on IDPs in December this year to review progress in resettlement and to a visit by the SR on education in the future. We remain committed to continuing our engagement with the Council as well as sharing best practices.
Well, President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that he will not create room for any force to disrupt national and religious coexistence in the country.
The head of state made this statement at a ceremony held in Tabover today.
The letter conferring the title of Maha Mahopadhyaya on Most Venerable Matale Amaravangsha Thero of the Sri Lanka Ramanga Nikaya was presented by President Mahinda Rajapaksa. When the Buddhist flag or statue of somebody is asked to be removed, the first question should not concern the removal. No religion, may it be Catholicism, Hinduism or Islam, has called for such acts. We may be Buddhists, Hindu, Christians or Muslims, but all of us as Sri Lankans face a threat today. No room will be granted for anyone to disrupt the coexistence we have shared for a long time.
කාටවත් ඉඩ දෙන්න පුළුවන් කමකුත් නැහැ.
This is News First, Election Headquarters.
The Elections Commissioner met with party secretaries and district returning officers today at the Election Secretariat.
ඇතම් දේශපාලන පක්ෂ වලින් කරන
Certain political parties are inconveniencing the public by erecting banners and pasting posters, which is taking place in a large scale. A ban of forged document was not presented by the Janasatha Peramuna. We will take our party forward. I wish to tell the public that we will be taking legal action against all false charges.
සම්බන්ධව අපි ඒතුමාලා ඉදිරියේදී නීති කටයුතු කිරීමට සූදානම් වුණා.
මේ සාකච්ඡාවේදීම unregistered number plate නැති.
While this discussion is taking place, unregistered white vans are travelling in Puttalam and Chilau. We reported that the institutions such as the Civil Defence Force, banks, rural development banks and others are spreading promises about loans during the election period. It is evident that action that the Election Commissioner could take in the face of exercising state power is limited. They have not reached a decision on how the IDPs will cast their mandate. All parties support the move to increase to more than 4 hours the time granted for estate workers and private sector employees to exercise their franchise. The main objective of this meeting was to discuss about the time remaining for election preparation, creating awareness among voters, appointing representatives to polling stations, counting of votes and the facilities granted for IDPs to cast their vote. We also pointed out that voters may face certain problems due to the numbers given to independent groups. Security at polling centers and counting centers were also discussed. We released an election manifesto. In it, we have mentioned the election manifesto that we presented for the 2010 parliamentary elections. This is not something new. What is mentioned is the need to have a system of devolving maximum power within the country. That was the sentiment expressed by President Mahinda Rajapaksa when he appointed the APRC committee in July 2006, which said that a system enabling a maximum devolution of power should be found. We have clearly stated the need for a political solution from within the country.
404 election-related complaints have been lodged with the complaints unit of the Election Secretariat ahead of the Provincial Council polls.
Now, a spokesperson said that 361 of the complaints were regarding the violation of election laws, while the remaining 43 were on incidents of election violence.
The complaints unit of the Election Secretariat has received 56 complaints on the misuse of state vehicles, 21 complaints on the use of state-owned buildings and 84 complaints on the involvement of officials. A group attacked the residence of the candidate from the Democratic Party at dawn today in the Ambakolawava area in Amampola, Kurunegala. Our correspondent said that the attack was carried out with the use of glass bottles and firecrackers. We were afraid to even open the door. All of us were indoors because we felt the presence of a group of people outside. We later noticed that the cutout had been torched. There were 327 incidents. 132 incidents were reported from the Northwestern Province, 51 from the Northern Province and 141 from the Central Province. A majority of these incidents have been minor in nature. It was reported from the Northwestern Province that a businessman was abducted. How do you define minor incidents? We consider the loss of life as a major incident. For instance, deaths caused during shootouts when engaging in election campaigning. Anything below that can be defined as minor and medium scale incidents. What about injuries during brawls? We will investigate. it could be categorized as election violence.
Meanwhile, the Saumya Youth Foundation carried out an awareness campaign in Colombo today, calling for residents of the northern province and the hill country who are employed in various locations in the Colombo district to be granted the opportunity to cast their ballot for the upcoming provincial council elections.
They urge that these employees be granted leave to travel to their hometowns and cast their ballot on election day. The Saumya Youth Foundation distributed a document obtained following a meeting with Elections Commissioner to owners of business institutions in Colombo. With the northern, northwestern and central provincial council elections drawing closer, the political stage is heating up as party representatives voice their comments. Let's have a listen to some of the views expressed.
A parliamentarian becomes a minister. The minister's house grows bigger in size. The number of vehicles increases. They send their children overseas and later bring them back to Sri Lanka to contest for elections. The sons are groomed when the fathers are preparing to retire. Those who do not have sons put forth their relatives. Flags are erected, crackers are lit, and they are cheered on as they claim the seats.
Youth uprising took place in this country on several occasions. The JVP put the people forward and sacrificed the youth. However, today, dear friends, there is a youth policy that has been formulated. All graduates have been granted employment in the state sector.
People don't riot for their want. If possible, we will have a riot right now. If the people who ask for drinking water are shot at, if pensions are not given, if people like Roshan Chanaka are being killed, if fishermen are killed in broad daylight in Chilao and unarmed individuals are harmed, then are these not reasons to riot?
Here's
a look at the views expressed by the Tamil National Alliance on the Northern Provincial Council elections. Our people are plagued by various issues. They have lost their lands. Our language is dying. We consider the Provincial Council as a place where we can raise a voice against all these issues. This was the reason for us to contest for the elections. We are not against peace. Have any one of us been against peace? Have we expressed views against peace? We always spoke about peace. Peace talks were held between Selva and Bandaranaike. Peace talks were held with Dudley Senanaike. Our leaders held discussions with JR and Premadasa as well. During JR's regime, the Indo-Lanka Accord was introduced. Provincial councils were introduced through the 12th Amendment as part of the accord. Later, peace talks were held with Chandrika, Ranil and even Mahinda Rajapaksa. Were we not flexible? We always thought about peace. We spoke more about peace than the Sinhala people. The Tamil people of this land need a political solution. We have voiced our preparedness regarding this to the international community at every given opportunity. In 2011, our party led by Sambandhan held discussions with the government on 19 occasions. Despite holding talks on 19 occasions, has the government of Sri Lanka fulfilled any of the promises made?
இந்த இலங்கை அரசு சொன்ன வாக்குறுதிகள் எதையாவது